Hello, this is Bill Claudsy here, jumping into a Gatecrash draft in this series of the Return to Ravnica block flashback drafts. So we're back on Ravnica. We've got the next 5 guilds: Gruul, Orzhov, Simic, Boros, and Dimir. Got the Dimir charm here. I kind of want to start with this Experiment 1. Simic was one of my favorites. This is an aggressive format, and Simic is not only pretty aggressive if you curve out, but it's also good in the late game. So the rare here is kind of a tutor effect. You just get 3 random creatures and pick one from your deck, and it's not that good, but it is instant, which is a point in its favor. I suppose you could include it, but I'm happy enough taking Experiment 1 here. Frilled Oculus is a cool guy. Psychic Strike, the gates are fine. Slaughterhorn might be the pick after Experiment 1, or Dimir Charm. So, what do we have next? Drakewing Krasis and Croconura are hanging out here. They're both quite strong. Urban Evolution, it's not a card you really need, but I guess it would be fine to keep going, to keep having things to play. But yeah, I think I like Croconura here over Drakewing Krasis for a couple reasons. If we end up in Gruul, that could still be good with this guy. You play powerful creatures and make him bigger. But also that if we go late game, the evolve triggers might get some value for the 1/1 counters. I wouldn't mind some Drakewing Krasises, but I'll take the Croconura here. Not much else to say. Boros Charm is great for the Boros deck, but starting with Experiment 1, we'll go with the Crocodile Frog here. Let's see. Disciple of the Old Ways versus Metropolis Sprite in this pack. Unfortunately, no strong Simic cards. In fact, there's a rare and a common missing, so it could be that someone took something like a Croconura. So that is a little bit weird. The uncommons aren't so strong. Dimir is the weakest guild. You can get some good decks, but it's highly rare dependent. Boros Guildgate. Let's see, I'm really picking here between Disciple of the Old Ways and Metropolis Sprite. And I'm going to take the Disciple because it could be that we end up in Gruul. And if we knew we were Simic, I'd prefer the other one, but since we don't know that yet, this is a fine card. And there's enough gates running around that you could be in 3 colors reasonably. Burst of Strength here. This is a fine little trick, especially if you have synergies with 1/1 counters. Another good card in this pack is Greenside Watcher, but it does rely on having some gates to be at its best. So it's another kind of weak pack. Holy Mantle is good. The key runes are all fine. Kingpin's Pet is the strongest card in this pack. And maybe Orzhov's Open. We just take Kingpin's Pet. I mean, there's nothing else here I would hate not to have, so I'll do that. I'll take Kingpin's Pet. And if we have to pivot 2 colors, we can try to get away with that. Okay, Glaring Spotlight. This is a fine, what is that? It's an effect that makes non-flyers not able to block for a turn, but also you can counter a removal spell with it, or rarely take away some hexproof from your opponent. So it's okay. More of a sideboard type card. Scab Clan Charger. This is a fine card. Usually it'll be good for an evolve trigger, and if not, it's a fine combat trick attacking. So each clan kind of has each guild, I should say, kind of has their keyword, the Blood Rush, so you can discard the creature to give its stats to an attacker. And that is... it's one of the more powerful effects. It's uncounterable because it's not really casting a spell. Here, Gruul Keyrune versus Frilled Oculus. Now, I really love the Frilled Oculus. It does give us a nice turn 2 play to evolve Experiment 1, and it's such a strong effect. Threatening to attack as a 3/5. It's just a 2-mana guy. Well, another good Orzhov card in the Vizkopa Confessor. There's also Metropolis Sprite, which is fine. Bioshift is a nice little trick, but you need a lot of 1/1 counters, and it's not at its best unless you have some real advantage for, or some payoff for moving the counters, like every counter going onto a creature you draw a card. Fathom Mage is the rare in Simic that does that. I'm going to take Vizkopa Confessor here, though, on the off chance that we really do get enough Orzhov cards to be pushed into that. And I don't love the Sprite. I mean, I'll take 1 or 2. Okay, here, Adaptive Snapjaw. This guy's huge, and the reason he's good is not because he's a 6/2 for 5, which is kind of fragile, but it's that it evolves everything that you might have. So if we pick up a few more Croconuras, this guy gets really good. Similarly, the Merfolk can be a trick, but if you just look at their stats, 4/2 for 6 mana and 6/2 for 5 mana, there's no comparison, and the flash doesn't really make up for it. Ooh, another Frilled Oculus, or rather this Oculus Wield. So I'm happy enough picking that up. It does mean Simic may be open. Take as many of these as we can get, sort of. It is much better than it looks, and it looks pretty good. And Drakewing Krasis wheels. Alright, this draft is going pretty well. We were considering taking that versus Croconura. Glad we took the 1-color card with less of a chance of wheeling. Now, Totally Lost versus Naturalize. It's not something you necessarily want to play either of, but I do definitely want to have a Naturalize, and you don't need a Totally Lost, so I definitely want a Naturalize for the sideboard, but I wouldn't be sad without a Totally Lost in the deck. Burst our Trick Wheels and Forced Adaptation. Now, this kind of effect sets you up for a 2-for-1 if they have removal, but if you put this on a Drakewing Krasis or the Cloudfin Raptor, which is the 1-drop flyer in blue with Evolve, 0/1, you just go nuts. Oh, here she is, the Fathom Mage herself. A 4-mana 1/1 with Evolve, so it can get bigger if you play other creatures. And then every 1/1 counter, so every time it evolves or counters are moved to her, you may draw a card. And I'm happy to pick that up. It is a little slow in Simic, and it doesn't evolve anything else itself. But the art is cool. It goes with the theme. If my life depended on this draft, I might take Croconura over it because it just kind of curves out well. But we do have a lot of 1/3s, and those kind of get redundant, so the Frilled Oculi don't evolve the Croconura very well. The way Evolve works is the power or toughness has to be higher. My goodness. Stolen Identity. Okay. The art on this is just sick. I'd probably take this even if there was a better card, but I don't think there's a better card here. Miming Slime can help things evolve, but Stolen Identity, if we pick up a flyer and cipher onto this, create a token that's a copy of target creature. Wow, okay, definitely picking that up here, and I'm glad that we're in Simic. Anyway, the way Evolve works is the creature with Evolve is there, and it has power and toughness. If you play another creature, or another creature comes into play on your side, if either its power or toughness is greater, then your creature evolves. It gets a 1/1 counter. So, oh my goodness, another Experiment one? That's got to be the pick here over Drakewing Krasis, although maybe this one wheels also, because we have enough turn 2 ways to evolve our Experiment one, and it is a solid effect. I mean, it's a 1-mana 2/2 a lot of the time, and it can grow bigger later in the game, so yeah, pretty strong there. And nice. Not much in this pack for us, except this Ivy Lane Denizen, but the Denizen is great. It is another way to put 1/1 counters on things, so it's good with Fathom Mage, or just any creature if you're attacking, which we will be. And we do have a lot of green creatures, so there's a cycle of Denizens, And the green one is when another green creature enters, put a 1/1 counter on something. Best cards other than that in this pack are Hellraiser Goblin, which is kind of an all-in aggressive card for Boros or Gruul, and Ground Assault, which is reliable removal. Another Frilled Oculus, alright. Let's do it. Prophetic Prism could fix mana for maybe a 3-color deck, but the format is fast enough that you won't always have the luxury of taking turn 2 off. And Frilled Oculus is here, so yeah, let's take as many of those as we can get. Verdant Haven, another kind of slower card, but it's okay, especially if you're in 3 colors, or ramping up to 5 mana. For us, the cool card here looks like Sapphire Drake. It gives all of our guys evasion. So if all of our little experiment ones, the turn we play this, we can get into the air with them. It's a 6 mana 4/4 flying, which is already great. And then, you know, if slow for the format. But it's the 1/1 Counter Lord. Oh my, Simic Fluxmage comes to us, so we're definitely in the... If it wasn't clear before, it's definitely clear now that we're in the right guild. No one else is touching these crazy creations. And we'll take the Simic Fluxmage. It's also a nice one with Fathom Mage, because you can move counters from it to other things. And if you have something too small to evolve this once it gets big, you move counters off of this and then play your other thing, and you'll net yourself some more counters. Cool, so we also have Spire Tracer. Spell Rupture would be fine in a deck like this because we have so many early creatures. Actually, maybe I'll take that. Yeah, now that you mention it. This is a very cheap removal spell, or counter spell, I should say. And yeah, it's not unlikely that we, you know, even with 1 power, you can force spike something. Yeah, I'll take Spell Rupture. I've convinced myself. Burst of Strength. I love this kind of effect. It's the kind of effect that people don't like walking into because they think it's bad, so they won't play around it. Burst of Strength. Take Burst of Strength number 2 or Scatter Arc. I do like my counter magic. The advantage of Burst of Strength is that if there's a creature that doesn't naturally have a 1/1 counter on it, like Frilled Oculus, we could put a counter on it, and then later it'll get flying with Sapphire Drake, but I don't want to fill up on that effect. 1 in the deck is plenty. Cool, Simic Guildgate is here. And even though I'd be happy with Miming Slime or Adaptive Snapjaw, you can't pass the gate this late. The gate's usually going to be better. Okay, Foil Island versus this nonsense. We'll probably have to play the Foil Island to make our mana good. Night Watch, yeah, and finally we run out of Simic cards. Maybe after the pack wheels this many times, we've taken them all out. I don't want to play against Martial Glory. That's kind of an annoying card. Same with Executioner's Swing. It's a good one. Yeah, so we seem to get distracted in pack 1 with a little bit of Orzhov. No regrets. We didn't give up much. And maybe if we run into the Orzhov deck, we'll be happy they don't have these powerful cards. Skarg Goliath. Alright, this pack has 3 really strong cards, and fortunately one of those is going to be what we need. It has Skarg Goliath, which is kind of 7 mana win the game, because you get to Blood Rush 9/9 and trample onto something. Yeah, so we could play this since we're green, but maybe we can win before that gets to it. There's 1000 Lashes, which is a rest, but also a win condition, like they take 1 damage every turn that their creature's in play. And then Shamble Shark, which is perfect for us. It'll evolve our Croconura. It gets evolved by everything. Frilled Oculus has Flash. There's nothing bad about this card. And those 3 cards are kind of the cards better than the Guild Gates. When getting into this format, this and Return to Ravnica and the full block, I kind of classified things as either better or worse than a Guild Gate. And it kind of helps you compartmentalize things and easily see, what cards you want to take. But yeah, those three are definitely better than the Guild Gates. And the Guild Gates are high picks, so that's kind of a good gauge. Here, a couple more good things for Orzhov. Some removal. And for us, we have another Ivy Lane Denizen. These guys get better in multiples. Getting a lot of counters on your things is a good way to win. Oh no. What is this guy? Cast stuff from your opponent's graveyard, instants and sorceries. That's okay, it's 7 mana flyer, that's pretty good. But it's a little expensive. We're trying to win on 6 mana, not 7. And Elusive Krasis is just insane. So we can evolve and experiment one twice off of a Frilled Oculus. So you play one, it becomes a 2/2. You play another, it becomes a 3/3. And then we could play Elusive Krasis, and its toughness will still be higher than the 3/3. And it'll become a 4/4 in some world here. And a lot of things will evolve the Krasis as well, because they have more than 0 power. Yeah, hard to argue with that. Some more good cards getting past here, but we're drawing up of the Simic. So it looks like we need maybe 1 or 2 more playables to have a nice deck, and we should be able to get there. In this pack, though, we've got Whispering Madness, kind of a finisher in a Dimir deck with an evasive creature. The Dimir Mechanic Cipher, I guess we have one of those. When you hit with a creature that you cipher this onto after casting it, you get to cast it again. You could basically do that every turn, or if you have double strike, I guess you could do it twice a turn. But yeah, maybe we cut that, or we could cut Orzhov Charm. I mean, this is a rare, so there's that. There's also Guardian of the Gateless. Maybe we don't want to play against this. Yeah, I could see that. This is kind of the most annoying card here. Block any number of creatures, and it just gets bigger for every creature it blocks. Quite strong. Okay, and here's one for us, Leyline Phantom. It's a 5/5 that you can play and attack, and if they chump it, it returns to your hand, which is a drawback, but if you have evolved creatures in your deck, playing it again might be what you want to do. Alright, nothing too interesting in this pack here. Dimir Charm, Spire Tracer, get another chance at this Spire Tracer. I'm happy enough taking the Spire Tracer. It could be a nice target for Stolen Identity, cipher onto it, and yeah, I like that better than Sage's Road Denizen, Dimir Charm, or cutting something else. Wow, Enter the Infinite, so 12 mana, and 12 mana lose the game, basically. You have to win the game next turn. So not only is this uncastable, but you would never want to cast it in Limited. So that's kind of cool. Anything we want to cut here, or do we just take the Mythic? Yeah, we'll take that. We're entering the Infinite. Verdant Haven, Keymaster, Rogue. I'll take that. Keymaster Rogue's fine. Can't be blocked. Return a creature to its owner's hand. So yeah, we'll start that in the deck now, but it's not great. Bioshift. Well, we don't have a Bioshift yet, so I'm going to take one of these for the sideboard. Sky Games, whatever. Kind of out of stuff to take here. So what does Bioshift do? I mean, we do have lots of things that can produce counters. Disciple's kind of weak in this deck unless we splash red. It's okay just as a 2/2. And it is a green creature, so that synergizes with Ivy Lane Denizen. Might be worth playing a Bioshift, especially since we have Spire Tracer. We can use this effect to make a giant, hard-to-block creature. And then we have to decide, there it is. Then we have to decide What cards to cut? Unplayable. Razor Tip Whip. It's a bit of reach. Do some extra damage to your opponent, but it's kind of a bad effect like that. Forced Adaptation. Yeah, I don't want to play too many of these cards that don't really work. Hintervines is interesting, but more of a sideboard card. If we're not against another Simic deck, and there's a lot of creature combat, then this could be a good one to side in. I think I like Burst of Strength better than Bioshift, though. So what do we want here? Maybe we cut Keymaster Rogue. That's a good card, though. I'll cut Scatter Arc. I like cards like that, but we can play Spell Rupture, and it does nearly the same thing, or possibly better. Let's combine this. Our curve is such that we do want to hit our land drop. 17 lands seems fine. And it's pretty even between blue and green, at least early. Maybe we have a little more green early, but not enough to play another full land. So we're kind of playing 9/9. And that should be good enough because a lot of our 2-drops are blue. So if we look at our curve, it does look like it favors green a little bit, but not by too much. This is our early game here. 1, 2, and 3 mana. So yeah, this is fine. Happy enough with this. The only worry is that of our 8 untapped green sources, we don't always get to cast a turn 1 experiment 1. But that shouldn't be too bad.